it's not necessarily how much you have, it's what you need.
Yeah.
And that is so critical for people to understand. Now, all of these people who are feeling, really depressed when they start thinking about retirement and really feeling like there's just no way it's going to happen. I'm going to have to work till I'm in my 70s. A lot of times that's just not reality. And, a lot of times when these people dig in and start looking at what they're spending money on, what they find is that they can easily create a monthly surplus and not spend everything that's coming in every month if they were just to buckle down and get realistic about what's going on. And, if you're able to do that, then what happens is that money can be diverted and put to work and go to places that make more sense. And, the first thing I would say is if you're still relatively young, and I would say, in your 40s, 40 to 55 or 40 to 60, the first thing you should do is do a Roth.
Yeah.
Like the Roth is just going to make the most sense for you because, again, if you can create a $300 surplus every month and you start just automatically investing that every month, have it just come directly out of your checking account or your savings account to go into a Roth, and you can do that. And that money starts to accumulate, and then you set it up to where it gets automatically invested into, a pretty smart little portfolio of some index funds or something that's doesn't have to be too complicated at all. You'd be shocked at how much you're able to grow, and before you know it, you'll have 100, 150, 200,000. And what you have to understand is when you do get to retirement with that money at 62, 65, whatever that is, and you have 200,000 of tax-free money to supplement your monthly income on top of Social Security, that can really go a long way, right? I mean, $200,000 is going to spin off, at least $10,000-$15,000 a year of good, solid, tax-free income. And let's just say it's $1,000 a month, right? I think that's pretty reasonable to think. That's what, about 6%.
Yeah.
So let's say it's $1,000 a month, and you're getting $1,800 a month from Social Security. I mean, that if you have $2,800 a month coming in, and you're basically don't pay taxes at that point because your Social Security is not taxable at that level. I mean, $2,800 a month is, if you don't, I think one of the magic things is getting your home paid.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
That's one of the secrets. If you can get your home paid off and don't have a mortgage going into retirement, it makes retirement much, much more feasible. I mean, if you can save, $1,200 to $2,000 a month, which is pretty common on a mortgage. If you can save that and that you don't have to pay that. Of course, you still have to pay taxes, but house taxes. But how much more feasible is it that you get to retire at a reasonable age if you can somehow manage to do that? So, for you guys out there that bought your house at your first house at 30 and you still live there and you're, 45, if you can stick it in and finish out that 30-year mortgage, at 60, then you're going to be in really good shape to go ahead and retire at a decent age once that mortgage is off the table. And it just opens up all kinds of other doors for you to be able to leverage the equity and the value in that home if you needed to in some sort of emergency type situation. But again, real small, modest changes to habits can create situations where, you know, retirement becomes a lot more feasible and a lot more attractive. And, you know, listen, everybody needs to enjoy a few years at least before you leave us, of not having to get up and go to work every day.
You got to, and you're absolutely right, Stewart. I mean, what we see so often with the power of compounding is it's the small changes that really make a difference. You know, I was sitting with a couple literally yesterday, and, you know, we went through the expenses and they found that they reasonably had $1,000 a month surplus, right? They're like, all right, like we could make this work. So we ran some projections. We said, all right, if we put $1,000 a month in a Roth, 500 each, and we did that for 11 years, they're going to retire in 11 years at 7%, compounding monthly, that would turn into $180,000. They were blown away. They were like, if we can just stick this out with $1,000 a month. And then I said, all right, what if we added 500? What if we turned 1,000 to 1,500? That 180 turned into almost $300,000 in 11 years. So just adding $500 a month, we looked at all their expenses plus a little bit of discretionary money, but everything all in. And they were like, we can find another $500, you know what I mean? Because that could change. I mean, the difference between 180 and 300,000 in retirement is huge, right? So that's the magic of compounding, is it's usually small things that can build it up. So if, like Stewart said, if you're able to be in a position where you have a house paid off, especially, in your 50s or something like that really opens up a surplus. And if you can see the power of compounding and you can see how impactful it can be to add a few $100s extra a month to any kind of retirement savings, it can change the entire retirement picture. And that's what working with a financial planner office will do. They had never even A, been taught that, or B, understood that concept. And if you don't have to worry about stuff like that, you can start worrying about, all right, what does retirement look like? Because we talked about at the beginning, the ability to not have to work is the key. Some people just love what they do. We love what we do. A lot of people just love to go to work, and they love the community. They love being involved. They love it. But the stress of not having to do that is the key. And if you work with a firm, whether it's us or whoever, and they can teach and educate you and show you what that looks like, you can relax and not have to stress about how to get to retirement and focus on, all right, what do I want to do? What do I enjoy doing, right? And that's what, we help plan for, is to show you what lets you think more about what does that look like? What do you want to be doing? And help you step into retirement knowing that you can do the things you want to do and you don't have to work, because we built out a solid income plan for you.